If you were to go out there and search for techniques and tips and tricks for how to overcome stuttering, how to stop stuttering, how to stop stammering, how to speak smoothly, how to overcome fear of public speaking, how to improve my accent, you're going to find thousands and thousands of resources and videos. And many of them are excellent. Many of them are excellent. You're going to find probably thousands or at least hundreds and hundreds of different programs. And some of them are excellent. But what happens when techniques are not enough? Sometimes many of these programs offer you a variety of different techniques and or strategies to help you improve or transform your speech. But what happens when techniques are not enough? My name is Michael Williams, and in this video, I'm going to share with you why often techniques are not enough to help you get to where you want to go. And then I'm going to give you an alternative, right? Whereas techniques are often not enough, so what is enough? All right, so let's talk about that. Why are techniques often not enough to get you to where you want to go? One reason is because techniques may only deal with one aspect of your speech development, right? What do we mean by that? Well, often techniques are related to your physical style of speaking, your physical way of speaking. Let's talk about some very specific examples. Breathing techniques, right? Which are very important. We use them, right? They're great, but it may not be enough. Well, what about something like prolonging or elongating? We call it extending, right? Well, that's great. It's very, very powerful, and it often works, but it may not be enough. What about linking your words or blending your words to maintain airflow? Absolutely wonderful. It's something I'm doing now. It's something that you do when you're speaking well. It's very, very important, right? It's critical, but it may not be enough, right? Because you may learn these techniques and then you go out and sometimes they work, maybe even most of the time they work, and then there's times where they just don't work. So then what do? There may be even some mental techniques like affirmation and self-talk, visualization. Great, extremely powerful. We use them, right? But what if that's just not enough? So what is enough? The one thing that you absolutely must do if you want to completely transform your speech is you must transform or change, if you will, or you can even say replace, okay, your mindset and speaking identity, okay? Your mindset and your speaking identity. Why is this important? Well, again, you can learn all the techniques in the world, but if you see yourself as, if you believe yourself to be someone who tends to struggle with their speech, even situationally, when I make a phone call, when I have to say my name, when I have to say certain numbers or certain letters or certain words, when I'm in meetings with people in authority, when I have to speak to a certain number of people, when I'm ordering food, when I'm on the telephone, whatever your speaking situation is where you tend to struggle, you probably see yourself, believe yourself to be, that is, identify yourself as someone who tends to struggle in that speaking situation. Does this make sense? And if you do, then that's a part of your speaking identity. It's also part of your mindset, the way that you think about yourself, the way that you think about life, the way that you think about speech, the way that you think about the way that you think about the way that you speak. So this is a mindset issue and a speaking identity issue, okay? And so no matter how many techniques you have, how many techniques you use, and how well they're working for you, when you have a disfluency, and we all will have disfluencies, even people who don't recognize that they're having a disfluency, they have disfluencies. Everyone is disfluent from time to time. Sometimes they just don't know it, or they don't let it bother them, right? So if you're one that sees yourself as someone who's disfluent, you're going to zoom in on, you're going to hone in on, you're going to focus on every time you have a disfluency. And you're going to bring that in and make it a part, or continue to make it a part of your identity. Oh, this is who I am. This is how I tend to speak, right? Your speaking identity. When you transform your speaking identity and you develop what we call a confident mindset and speaking identity, confident, right? Key word here. When you develop that, then it doesn't matter if and when you get stuck. I get stuck from times. I stumbled over my words a few minutes ago, right? So what? It doesn't bother me. Everyone gets stuck. Everyone stumbles. I may stumble again over my words. So what? That doesn't mean that I see myself, or that you need to see yourself and identify yourself as someone that's disfluent. So as you're working, as you're on the smooth speech journey, one of the things that Pro90D does is it helps you transform, or change, or replace your mindset, your way of thinking, what you think, how you think about certain things, and your speaking identity, how you see yourself, who you believe yourself to be, right? We help you change that so that when you go over those bumps in the road, we call them bumps in the road, where you stumble over your speech, yeah, right. When you go over those, you go on those little dips, or big dips, you recover much faster. You recover much easier, right? You don't sit there and stop and think about it. It's like driving over a bump when you're in your car. Do you stop and then back up over the bump, get out your car, look at the bump? Oh my God, look at this bump. Why did I run over this bump? I always run over this bump, right? You don't do that. You just run over the bump and go, oh, that was a bad bump. And I said it, you run over, oh man, it's okay. I need to try to avoid these bumps. I need to take another route. I need to drive a different way. I need to avoid these, but you don't stop and back up and think about it, focus on it, and get mad about it and become embarrassed. Oh, I keep going over the bumps. You don't do that. Same thing with speech. You become proactive. You put yourself on a pathway, on a journey, using a systematic approach to transform your speech. And then, as you begin to transform your mindset and your speaking identity, you find that you go over these bumps, but you respond and you react to them very different. You recover from them much, much quicker. You don't focus on them. You don't dwell on them, because you're focused on becoming an excellent speaker, not on not getting stuck, or not speaking too fast. You're not focusing on that. You're focusing on becoming an excellent speaker. So you're seeing yourself, your identity, you're seeing yourself as becoming an excellent speaker, a smooth speaker, a clear speaker, a person that when you speak, people want to listen to you. People want to hear what you're seeing yourself as becoming an influencer, and you're taking the necessary steps to get there, and you know it. And you know it's a process, and you know you're going to experience some setbacks, some reversals, some failures, some disfluencies along the way. It's a part of the process. You're going to go over some bumps. And once you understand that, but you understand where you're moving, and that you are moving in that direction, and that you're on a pathway that actually works, that other people have taken, they've gotten there, and that you're taking the same pathway and you're going to get there, it changes your identity. It changes your mindset. So you're developing this confident mindset, this confident speaking identity. So you feel like, hey, even if I get stuck, I have options. I know that I can do this. I know that I can do that. I know that I'm actually becoming. I've actually experienced and seen myself speak well. So that's the kind of person I am. Even if I get stuck, so what? I'm still a confident speaker. Does this make sense? So as you think about this, right, as you think about what it is and why it is that often techniques don't work. If that's the only thing that you're using, that you're focused on, techniques and tips and tricks, and you're wondering, why do they work sometimes? Why do they work over here and not over here? A part of it, a major part of it, is that techniques alone are not enough. What is enough? Transforming your mindset and your speaking identity. Unless you do these two things, for the vast majority of people who struggle with their speech, and if you don't do these two things, you're going to find that techniques and tips and tricks are simply insufficient and inconsistent. Insufficient and inconsistent. When you transform your mindset and speaking identity, then you find that when you go over those bumps, when you have those dips, you're able to bounce back much quicker. You start to see yourself as being a different kind of speaker. And because you've increased your confidence, I call this the competence cycle, you start feeling more confident about yourself. You actually start performing more competently. You start performing better. And when you perform better, you start feeling better. You start feeling more confident. And so it creates a cycle, right? It creates a cycle. And it builds momentum. It accelerates so that you get to the place that even when you mess up, so what? You throw it off and you just keep going. So I hope that this video has been helpful, and I hope that it's been pretty clear about why often techniques and tips and tricks are simply not enough. You need a systematic, scientifically based process that works, that really works, to help you, yes, transform the way that you speak, your style of speaking, but more importantly, and most importantly, transforms your mindset and speaking identity. Now, I don't want you to hear me wrong. I'm not saying that this is all you need to do, so that it's all mental, it's all psychological, that you don't need to do anything with the physical aspect of your speech. Absolutely not. Pro-90D does both. But if you only focus on the physical, the physiological, the breathing, and the way that you articulate, and the letters and all of that, you're probably going to find that it's insufficient and inconsistent. So you have to do both, and often you have to do them both simultaneously. And then you find that one strengthens and builds upon the other. So thank you so much. My name is Michael Williams. There's two ways that I can help you get here. One is the self-study, which is great, but for many people it takes them much longer because they're working on their own. They get distracted, they get discouraged. But for other people, it works great. So I encourage you to try the self-study on your own. If you're not real sure about whether or not this will work for you, or if you just can't afford the coaching, do the self-study, get in there and work it. But for others of you who are professionals and you want to accelerate your progress, then you're going to want to work with me one-on-one. Why? Because minimally I can help you get to where you want to go 10 times faster. How do I know this? Because we see people more than the average person who comes to me and works with me, many of whom are doctors and lawyers and scientists and engineers and so forth. When they come to me, they've been watching my videos and going through different courses and things for around 2 years, sometimes more. When they come to me, they get further along in 2 to 3 months than they were able to working by themselves for 2 or 3 years. Okay, so minimally you're going to accelerate 10 times fast. Sometimes it's way faster than that when you work with me one-on-one. But I only want you to come when you're confident, when you have a certain degree of belief, faith, and confidence that this is going to work for you. This is going to help you take your speech to the next level. Thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is Michael Williams. Look forward to working with you soon.